Welcome back. We're gonna do a live reading of my book. A little special guest. I'm excited. I actually haven't done this before. I haven't ever read my book on here. You think I would have by this point, but I did not. So come in, everyone. Come in. Gather around. Sit down. Take your shoes off. Stay a while. Pour yourself some tea. Light some oregano. Do your thing. Do you boo boo. Pyramid 7, welcome. Everyone hit the like button. Make sure the notification gets sent out to as many people as possible. That would be grand. And we'll begin in just a second. Namaste, Lunar Gems. Where's everyone at? Were you guys in the last chat? Should we begin? Should we begin without them? I feel like mostly everyone hasn't made it in yet. I'm going to post this chat. I'm going to post this video on my on the community, and we'll start. How's that sound? We are live post. Make sure my other video is canceled because sometimes YouTube likes to say that I'm still live from multiple videos at a time, which is happening now. So hold on. We got to end this one. That's such a bummer why it does that. Okay. I had to end the other live. It was still running. My bad. Okay. This one should be the only live video we have. Oh, Luna Gems. You're such a gem. Thanks for the lovely comment. Appreciate it. We're going to play Luna a song for the compliment. Best investment. Best investment of the year, I think. All right. We're going to start. We're going to start with it. Thank you, everyone, for hitting the like button. I appreciate it. Ooh, it's already jumping up. Okay, we got 9 people in the room, which is the God number. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit it. Okay. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, 7 Pillars, a book I wrote a few years ago. Hopefully not outdated yet. You know how things are these days. Still a gemstone in my book. What chapter should we read? That is the question. That is the question. 7 Pillars. All right, I'm going to read the back page. It says 7 Pillars, a handbook for existence, shares a series of principles that serve as the root of all knowledge. They exist within every religion, spiritual quest, and newfound understanding of reality. These are secrets hidden in plain sight. 7 undeniable laws of the universe that dominate from the macrocosm to the micro. Understanding them will reveal areas of consciousness previously unexplored with less effort than a lifted finger. This guide considers each pillar and presents specific life hacks to help you see these concepts in action and then activate their counterparts within yourself. This is not a series of answers to your questions or a key for your locked doors. It is a utility belt intended to help you build your own door and find your own destination. Through this enlightenment, you can take steps toward living exactly as you wish to be. The guide presents 7 principles that serve as a foundation for wisdom and the fundamental laws of the universe, urging you to question your current reality and everything in it. Nice. All right. Did I not include? Let's see. All right, we're gonna read chapter 1. Why not start at the beginning? Because what I wrote in this chapter, I tried to explain a lot on the fly, and I feel like I never quite nailed it right. It was hard for me to wrap my head around when I was even writing this chapter. I had to rewrite it a ton of times. Anywho, chapter 1. The substantial reality, the all. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom. The Kabbalion. We begin with the all. I do not mean for the introduction of this chapter to come off as religious. I am not masking this philosophy as a New Age doctrine. Instead, I wish to show you natural laws of the world and of this universe, so that you may begin to see the pattern of things. Learning to see patterns is nearly the same as being able to see the future. We use the known to predict the unknown and therefore increase our chances of creating worlds that are more in line with our desires. Instead of methodical notions imposed upon our subconscious by forces outside of ourselves, I want to teach you about the mechanics of life, and more importantly, the mechanics of yourself. We will soon see that both are one in the same. Bum, bum, bum. And strategically ended at the end of the page. That was not planned, but well played. Oh, shut off the lamp. My bad. You guys are trying to catch a vibe in here? I feel you. Nice. I like your style. Lamp. Hold on. I can also turn it down because... Nope, wrong button. Ooh, that a little better? Let's light these other candles and then we'll get back to it. Y'all wanted Manolers candles? Hit up my Etsy shop. Okay. Sweet. Continuing. I speak in terms of a substantial reality, a reality from which all things that we experience manifest. Outwardly, we see a world constantly changing, growing, dying ad infinitum. This tells us there must be some internal mechanism, a framework for the known universe from which all this change comes from. The substantial reality that we speak of must not be changing in itself, however. It must be constant, a rock from which we build all our principles. Otherwise, the patterns built into the known world would come apart and chaos would soon after consume. This rock is the all, named as such not to be a deity, but it is simply the most all-encompassing word we can use for the topic. To make it easier to comprehend, let's think about it from your perspective. When you look at the big picture of things, what do you see? Reality is defined as thus: the world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. What then is the reality of this world? What are the true mechanisms for which things outwardly manifest? I ask you, what is the one thing you can be absolutely sure of when you look out into the world? The one thing that never changes. And because you are reading this book and are more than likely on a path of enlightenment, you would probably say, I see that there is no one thing that I can be actually sure of. Nothing out there nothing out there in the world really is. Everything is just becoming. Once something hits its apex of growth, it begins its downward descent into nothingness, only to be brought back as something new. Change, therefore, is really the only constant I see. Beautiful. How incredibly observant you are, and you are absolutely correct. Change is the one thing we can be absolutely sure of. Look at a pendulum and you see that things are swaying from one side of the pendulum to the other. There is no substantiality to anything. Change is the only constant. Everything, destruction, creation, inward and outward flow, is evolving from something else and resolving into something new. The thinking person, like yourself, would also deduct that because this law is as such a law, it must be governed by something. It's the catcher, right? It's a law. Its laws are governed by something, right? It must have been set in something that is not changing, for this law itself remains constant. We find that something is actually the substantial reality, something that works outside this law of constant change, the all. And the all is, well, all. It encompasses and pervades everything. Nothing can be outside. Nothing can be outside before nor after the all. It is the most basic, most substantial reality from which our universe and the infinite others operate. Everything is subject to it, but because of its infiniteness, it itself is subject to nothing. It is subject to no change. This is the substantial reality of existence. Thinkers and philosophers throughout history have tried to give this substantial reality a name and have labeled it under various monotheistic, polytheistic, and even nature-based deities. Some have called it the eternal and infinite energy. Scientists at one point tried to label it as matter. Its existence seems to be without need of proof, self-evident in that it is and isn't at the same time. This is where the term the all comes from. As part of this philosophy, an understanding of the all will never be complete. To gaze upon and understand the infiniteness of the all is like Hamlet trying to understand Shakespeare's life story. Impossible. The name the all is merely the best term to use to transfer as much meaning into tangible letters so we can have an understanding of the capacity of this substantial reality. We must also understand, however, that the all transcends names and definitions. We must accept that none but the all may understand its real and true inner workings. A divine paradox indeed. This is where it gets tricky. If it hasn't already. The object of this book is not to get you to understand the all. The all is infinite. Our minds are not. We already understand that our world operates based on change, and anyone trying to discern the inner nature of the all is doomed to a life of madness. It is not our purpose to understand the inner nature of the all, at least not in this lifetime. It is our job to understand those laws that emanate from the all, so that we may become players instead of pawns, not rising to fairy tale heights by ways of wishy-washy magic, but by using one law against the other, to rise ever higher within the planes of existence. Furthermore, we must refrain from ascribing the qualities we find ourselves dealing with unto the all. All personalities, aesthetics, and characteristics that pertain to us do not fit the all, especially lowly characteristics such as jealousy, susceptibility to flatter and praise, and desire for offerings and worship. It is apparent why this philosophy at one point in time had to remain secret. Now I'm going to drop some substance on you. I will break down what the all consists of as to give you some type of foothold within reason on how to proceed with this book. These guidelines will keep us from straying too far from the path of knowledge within the Hermetic philosophy. This is to ascertain. What's coming up is to ascertain the substantiality of the all without attempting to lift too much of the veil of the unspeakable. Understand these three things as taken from the Hermetic philosophy. And then these next three things are directly from the Kabbalion. Well, not directly, but couldn't plagiarize it. Anywho, Fanny Potts, what's cracking? Hope you guys are enjoying the book reading so far. Okay, first thing, the all must be all that really is. So these are the three things that are, if we may be so audacious and bold as to define the all, these would be the three things to do so. These are important. This whole chapter is super important. Sometimes it felt dry writing it, but it was something, it's a fucking philosophy book. Like I can only spice it up so much, you know what I mean? Anywho, here we go. So number one, the all must be all that really is. There cannot be anything existing outside of the all, lest the all would not actually be the all. Easy enough, on to part two. The all must be infinite. Infinite because there is nothing else to act upon it in which to actually limit it. In other words, nothing can define, confine, bound, or limit it. It also must be timeless, eternal. If it had a beginning, it must have come from something else, which would make it not the all. It also may not have an end, for there must be something outside the all in which to end it, and therefore something else to start up again. For there can never be non-experience. For these same reasons, it must be infinite in space and infinite in power. For there to be a limit in any way upon the all would suggest that there is something that is not a part of the all to act upon it. Since there is nothing outside of the all being everywhere, there is nothing with which to limit it. It is subject to no other power because there is no other power. Number three, the all must be immutable. It must not be subject to change from its real nature. If it was subject to change, then it would not be the substantial reality, and therefore it would not be the all. There's nothing to act changes upon it, and nothing that it could change into, for there is nothing outside the all. There is nothing to add to it or diminish, therefore its size, infinite, must also be constant. It must have always been just as it is at this moment. There is a saying in the Kabbalion that it goes, nothing can rise higher than its own source. It took me several reads to figure out exactly what this meant, but I've done it. Since I'm better at making analogies than the ancient texts, I'll make sure it's comprehensible the first time around. Damn, it came in hot. I didn't mean to talk too much shit, Kabbalion. My bad. See, I was trying to spice it up. The simple version, according to physics. Hold a 50-pound ball to your nose from a rope swing. Let it go so that it swings away from you. Now, as the 50-pound ball comes screaming back towards your face, don't move, because the ball cannot rise higher than its source. It will not hit you. So that was the analogy I gave. A thing cannot rise higher than its source. It's like letting a bowling ball go. And then you ever seen them do that where they let a bowling ball go in a swing in front of their forehead and it swings away. And then the idea is, as long as no one fucks with the string, that you can not move and the bowling ball will stop right in front of your nose, because a thing cannot rise higher than its source. And that was sort of what the book was getting at. I'm going to record this for audiobook 100%, Richie. Not under this. Could probably get better audio quality than this, but yeah, all right, we're going to keep going. We're almost done with the first chapter. This is how we determine what the all is. The all cannot be said to be matter, because again, nothing can rise higher than its own source. All around us, we see life and mind, consciousness, yet we do not see life and mind in matter. So how can something greater than matter, life and mind, come from it? It can't. Nothing can manifest in an effect that first didn't originate within the cause. So that was an easier way to wrap that up. What that whole thing was saying with, is that nothing can manifest in an effect that didn't originate within the cause. Though matter has already been stripped of its previous title, scientists now say that matter is merely slowed down energy brought to a standstill in order to manifest as a certain object. In other words, it is now known that matter is actually energy. It only took science about 4,000 years to catch up to this one. Now, you might guess that the all is energy. You're getting warmer. But energy, in terms of how we use the word today, still doesn't match. Energy today is mere mechanics, part of an equation, a stepping stone to get to something else. It also contains more than itself, life and mind, or consciousness. Remember, you and I are of life and mind and energy, according to today's definitions. I wrote that funny, hold on. Remember, you and I are of life and mind, and energy, according to today's definition, is by no means life and mind. For the reasons stated above, energy also cannot be the all. If energy and force, as we call it today, do not contain consciousness, and you and I are here using our minds, then no, the all cannot be merely energy. For within the effect must lie a piece of the cause. Something cannot rise higher than its source. The Kabbalion lists one possibility, that the all is life and mind. Again, we can't ascribe that it is exactly life and mind. For to put a label on the all as if to understand its inner nature would be like trying to define the infinite by the finite, which is inherently impossible. However, if life and mind is the highest manifestation of our universe, it must be a basis for the all to operate. I'm gonna read that again because it was tough explaining that whole fucking thing. It was tough, but I wrapped it up well, so I'm going to read that. Everything that I read that was even kind of confusing for me to read was wrapped up here. Life and mind, consciousness, is the highest manifestation of our universe, right? the highest manifestation of our known universe is life and mind and consciousness. You can think of, you know what I mean, you can, rocks and plants and trees, you know what I mean, but the most prestigious thing of it all is the intelligence, is the life and mind. And since that is the highest form of life, that's what we have to say that, okay, that's what origin is, because you can't have an effect that doesn't have a piece of the cause. So you just keep going in reverse. Okay, well, what's the biggest fucking thing? Okay, all right, that's it. Life and mind, that's the pinnacle of existence. Then that's what existence is. Life and mind. But then again, of course, it's the all, and to put a definition on it is to exclude everything else, and you can't exclude the all, because where would you exclude the all to? Like, just tell the all to go sit in the other room. Where the fuck did the other room come from? I thought the all was the all. Like, all can't be the all if there's a fucking room that he's going into. You know what I mean? And that sort of idea is like, it's called the divine paradox, but it's not. It's useful in as much as lending credence to the 7 Hermetic principles, because the 7 Hermetic principles that I proceed to go over in the book, those are the laws, the unchanging laws that emanate as a result of, you know what I mean, having an ego, having an experience, having an illusion outside the all. That's where the ego comes from. So now you guys see why I defend the ego so much, is because the ego is just a mechanism. Like, that's it. It's not good or bad. Of course, when you attach to the ego, all kinds of dark shit can happen, but like, it's not the ego's fault. If it wasn't for the ego, you wouldn't even have the chance to attach to something, to have a bad experience. You know what I mean? The ego is just giving you an experience, man. It's the consciousness's job to decide what to do with that ego, how to use that ego, how to understand that ego. And if you just have people running around all the time saying the ego is dark and you got to destroy the ego, and like, don't do this, and ego bad, devil is the ego. It's like, whoa, you've totally shat on a concept of life, where if you could have just understood it for what it was, it's the what I'm getting at is the more useful conversation isn't necessarily to shit on something, but to understand something. The more you understand something, the better you can use it. You know, I mean, then you start humaning. You start doing the human thing, and you're killing it, because you start to see the patterns and shit. And like, that's the book, seeing the patterns and shit. Yeah, seeing the pattern. That's what I should have titled it. I should have titled it 7 Pillars, seeing the patterns in shit. You're like, Keith, your book, 7 Pillars, kind of basic. But the subtitle, Patterns and Shit, I love it. Talk to me. What's good with I'm about to take this back to the publisher and be like, hey, you guys, we got to make a change. I'm not getting enough sales. We got to spice it up. 7 Pillars, seeing the patterns and shit. Yeah. You've read it twice, Fanny or Nikki Delancre? That's cool. I'm happy. That's super cool. That's super cool. How can you create life within life? Is that a rhetorical question, James Barnell, or am I supposed to answer that? Do you guys like the first chapter, though? You guys got to go buy my book. It's on Amazon. Here, I'll link you guys right now. It's 11/11. This is the perfect time to advertise the book. What? Come on. Talk about divine timing. Divine Keith Garcia. Whoops. Pillars. There we go. Nice. We got 22 reviews on the Etsy on the Amazon too. That's what's up. Here, you guys. Here's a ridiculously long link. It's so long it won't even let me enter. So we'll have to get a more user-friendly link. Share. No, not from an email. Link, please. There you guys go. There's a link to my book. You guys should check it out. And if you have checked it out, you should leave a review. Go leave a review. That's how we slay. How can you? Oh, damn, James Barnell. That is a goddamn good question. Holy shit, guys, stick around. This is a great question. Sorry, I didn't mean to do too much self promo. People were like, he's promoting his book. I'm out of here. 9 people left instantly. All right, cool. My bad. We got a good question here. James Barnell said, how can you create life within life? I believe that's chapter 2, but I'll break it down here. Thought is how you create life within life, right? Because the next part after that was, okay, if there's nothing outside of the all, that's such a good question. If there's nothing outside the all, and nothing can be created outside the all, because that would negate the all being the all, then how the fuck do you create life? Well, the example I always give is, you can procreate, like you can have children. That's one way to create, but that's outside of yourself because you need to procreate. You can divide, but you can't divide something in 2 because then 1 becomes 2, and that means the all becomes 2 the alls. Then the all is not the all if there's 2 alls. So no, you can't divide, you can't multiply, you can't add, subtract. But you can think. So J.R. Tolkien, author of Lord of the Rings, created he created an alphabet, you guys. He created an Elvish language with its own alphabet with multiple dialects. Multiple dialects for a novel. And that was just for the elves. He gave the dwarves their own language too. History, culture, everyone had a story. Dude had 16 grandparents, and they're all listed, and they all have their own tales and shit that they go on that are also written about. Like, he created, and as long as that man would have lived, if he would have lived for 1,000 years, he would have created just boundless worlds, all contained within his mind. And since, right, so that the exercise I just did, we would call that using the law of correspondence. And so you say the correspondence is as above, so below, which says if you know about the above, you know about the below. Vice versa, if you know about the below, you know about the above. And the reason why is because there's patterns in everything. And if there's patterns in everything, then you can sort of make sense of the world. Well, to find out how the all creates, we think about how humans create. And that was the example I gave. Like, we procreate, right? But that's multiplying. You can't multiply. But we also think. We can create in our minds. The only difference is we create with a finite mind, and the all creates with an infinite mind. And a sort of crude example of that would be when I say you have a finite mind, is unless you're a well-trained musician, you can probably only do 1 or 2 things at a time and do them well. As compared to a drummer who's singing, who his mind is playing left hand to one rhythm, a different part of the rhythm with his right, left different rhythm on his foot, right foot different rhythm. His voice is singing the melody over all the shit. Like, that's holding 5 different actions in your mind at once. So that's it. And the all is holding all the thoughts, which is everything in existence is a thought, really, when you come down to the source, is pure potential made manifest into the physical realm. And then once something finds existence, that's when it comes to observe the universe as separate from the universe via the ego. Fucking rocks have egos, you guys. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a rock. You dissolve the ego, the rock dissolves into ether. That's how this shit works. Carl Sagan said, we are the universe given an opportunity to graze upon itself, something like that, paraphrasing. um, it's a gift, you know what I mean? The ego is a gift so that the universe can see itself. But what better way to get a realistic view of yourself than to put yourself in another pair of eyes and make yourself forget that you are actually you? I mean, like, imagine, I think I had this conversation with Richie last time we spoke. Like, how cool would it be to see yourself through someone else's eyes? Not see yourself through someone else's eyes with your consciousness. Like, no, okay, I'm Keith in someone else's body looking at Keith. That's also would be pretty fucking awesome. But you could take that even further to get that same experience, but just the next level. And the next level is, maybe I'll put myself in someone else's shoes and forget that I'm myself, so that when I look back at myself, it's as if this person is completely separate from me, so I can experience them as their own entity, like their own fucking, what's Keith like without me being me? Like, what, you know what I mean? Yeah, am I making sense? And that's what the ego does. The ego is this sort of illusion of separation that sort of cuts you off from source as far as your five senses go, right? As far as your thinking mind goes, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around you're the infinite, because again, you're using a thinking finite mind. So of course it's going to be difficult to connect with it, which is why meditation is easier to connect, because you're sort of going into that subconscious place. But so I'll give an example then. I always say don't criticize the ego, but I'll give an example of a one way to praise the ego and to thank the ego in a healthy manner, because of course there's an unhealthy way to go about anything. A good way to reinforce the ego in a healthy way would be to put yourself in your favorite place where you're overwhelmingly happy. Whatever just go to your biggest fucking happy place. For me, it's if I were to pick one, it would be a partly cloudy day, a partly cloudy sunset during late October at the beach. Because late October is sunset season for us. The partly clouds give you crazy colors off the mountains and shit. It's in the ocean. It's awe-inspiring. So you find a place like that, and when you're overwhelmed with the beauty of life and existence, think that that experience would not be possible if you did not have a lens to view it through. The lens that was gifted for you to witness something awe-inspiring, that gift was the gift of the ego, the illusion of separation, because you're seeing the clouds as separate from them. You're seeing the sun as separate from the sun. You're able to look into the universe and go, oh my fucking God, there's black holes that light can't escape from. You got nebula stars are being born. I think that star just blew up. Not sure. Maybe it was a planet or an asteroid. There's asteroids that fly through space too. And like, come on, man. That would be acknowledging that you're an individual being, that you are your own individual being separate from everything else. And as a result, you can bear witness upon everything else, to appreciate it, because that's all existence wants, is acknowledgement and appreciation. That's all that your shadows want, all that your lights want, all that your loves want, all that your hates want. Everything is just begging for attention. It's begging for fucking acknowledgement and praise, including ourselves, me, you, all of us. It's a special moment when you can give acknowledgement for something that really deserves acknowledgement, and fucking acknowledge well. You know what I mean? Like, really acknowledge the shit out of it. I had this dream. I had this dream. It was so funny. I was walking down State Street, which is one of my favorite things to do ever, walking down State Street at night, Santa Barbara. And in this dream, I was walking down, I look over, and Whoopi Goldberg was getting her haircut. I'm not a Whoopi Goldberg fan. Don't watch Whoopi Goldberg movies. The only movie I can think of with her in it is Pagemaster, and she's a fucking book in that movie. But I look over and I'm like, Whoopi Goldberg, the fuck? She's getting her haircut. She's like got the thing draped over her shoulder, and she's like trying to keep her head still while talking to me, looking over, and she goes, she goes, I can't remember exactly, but it was like acknowledge her. I was like, what? Oh no, it was all say thank you. It was all say thank you. I was like, fuck, what? To who? She's all the city, like these beautiful walks that you go on, you would not be able to do if it wasn't for this city, for this road, for the ocean, for the lights. Like she was saying, fucking acknowledge it. And I was like, oh, my bad. And I was like, thank you. And like the everything kind of shimmered more, like everything came to life a little more. That's that resonance that I'm always talking about. Like when you match a frequency of something, you start to resonate off of each other, and it becomes more apparent. It becomes more real, more outstanding. The acknowledgement, that is. But Whoopi G getting, I don't remember. That's the thing. I don't remember actually seeing her hair. Like I don't even remember seeing a barber next to her. She might have, in fact, been alone, just sitting in a chair. Now that I think about it, because I don't remember. She was the only person in the shop. There was no one in the entire dream. Actually, there was no one on the streets. It was empty streets. Just the yellow glow of a street lamp was all there was, and strung up tea lights were strung through the palm trees because it's a street that's lined with palm trees and stores. Little tea lights over it. It's beautiful. It's fucking gorgeous. It's like out of a movie or something. My girl always says that it Santa Barbara feels like Gilmore Girls to her. If you guys watch Gilmore Girls, I've never seen it, but I have a feeling I know what she's talking about when she says that. Luna Gems. Man looking for attention to feel good won't ever find it unless he looks within. Yes, but I'm going to add on to that, Luna Gems. I'm going to add on to that. So Luna said something real nice, but we're going to build on it. Man looking for attention to feel good won't ever find it unless he looks within. But he can also look without, because remember, one of the laws of the Hermetic philosophy in the book is the as above, so below statement. Yes, you can influence the external world from the internal, but you can also influence the internal from the external. It goes both ways. And it's not, you won't only feel good from going within. And we'll go straight back to the example that I used at the sunset. This is one of the things that I hate. Ooh, that slipped. I didn't mean to say hate. But one of the things, fuck hate. So one of the things that I've been trying to take note on to transmute is, overusing phrases that everyone else uses without actually thinking about them. And that's a perfect one, where people say, you're never going to find this unless you go within. And I don't believe that. I straight up don't fucking believe that. I believe it's easier to go within because you're always with yourself and you sort of always have an opportunity to go within. And that's where, you plant the seed, is in the subconscious. But that's not the only way. It's just by going within. So hear me out, because you can influence the internal with the external. So back to the sunset. Beauty. So check this out. I'm going to learn you guys right now. I'm going to teach you guys how to be a more beautiful person. This is how you become a truly beautiful person. Like you feel good about yourself, you feel good about your life and the people around you, and you feel like you are beauty. Like you get that overwhelming sense of that shit. You know what I mean? Go to the ocean. When you acknowledge something, the part inside of you that matches that frequency will resonate. It will vibrate because it matches that frequency, just like just like an instrument. Two strings of the same frequency will vibrate each other without having to be physically touched. They will move because they match frequencies. To acknowledge beauty everywhere you go is to start vibrating the frequency in you that says beauty. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen. So the more beautiful things you surround yourself with, the more you can sit still and stare at a rose. And I'm going to look at this rose and I'm going to find 3 different things that I really fucking appreciate. And not just say I'm like, be grateful for whatever. Like, I'm grateful that I'm alive today. Well, fucking obviously. I didn't think I had to state that, but if we're chalking up brownie points, I guess I'll throw it in there. Like, no, fuck that. Like, look at the rose and think 3 things that you really appreciate about. Like, give it some fucking thought. Give some acknowledgement. Like, the more you include yourself in the acknowledgement of a rose, just deepens your ability to acknowledge things in general. So go to the rose and be like, I love that every time I smell a rose, I'm just like, this is me speaking personally. Like, this is, I'm not bullshit. This is what I really love about roses. Any flower, but like, why not give the girl her proper attention? Not any other flower but the rose. I love how soft it is. I love every rose I come across. I touch it. I like get my fingers and I kind of roll it through the petals. It's like that. It's like an ASMR satisfaction. It's like soft and like velvety and silky. And then you hit the petals and the fragrance comes out because you start disturbing the oils. And it's like that double combination of then the smell hits you. It's just like, man, it's the nicest thing. So I could look at a rose and be like, thank you for that shit. I really appreciate how easy you grow. Like, I tried to kill a rose in the front yard so I can plant some poppy plants, cut it down past the soil line. It's growing even healthier than before I cut it. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm leaving you. Thank you for being so resilient, and I don't have to take care of you at all, but you're still pumping out flowers. I appreciate that because I know how hard it can be to keep fucking plants alive. Sometimes they just want, I feel like some plants want to die. Anywho, you start doing that with everything. So back to your original thing where you were saying you have to go within to feel good. Like, for sure, that's probably the most powerful way to do it, is to go within. I'm there with you, but it's not the only way. If you want to feel good, if you want to find beauty, if you want to be beauty and you want to be good, you have to acknowledge that shit in the world. And if you can't find it, you have to look for it. I don't have something like that. Well, then fucking find one. If you don't have a happy place and that's like your hang up, Keith, I don't have a happy place. If that's where you're at, you're fucked. If you can't find your happy place, I don't know what to tell you. You literally have no chance if you can't. I shouldn't say no chance. Like, some people have it bad. I mean, if you're not the 1 in 100 people whose lives are truly fucked up, because I acknowledge that there's some things that are out of your hand, but for the most part, like me, because I complain about not having a happy place. I'm really talking to myself when I'm having these conversations, because even lately I'm like, I've got so much shit and the baby and 2 jobs and I gotta do YouTube videos. Like, I don't have time for my happy place. Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Really, you can't spare an hour every Sunday to catch a sunset somewhere. You know what I mean? To connect to that place. Can't find 15, 20 minutes to sit down and meditate to a dope ass guided meditation. Light some incense, light some candles, make a ritual out of it. Like, I can't do that daily. Like, you can. We can, really. And all that is acknowledgement. Everything we do is a form of acknowledgement. And to be beautiful, you must bear witness to it. You must give credit where credit is due, and you got to do that shit sincerely. It can't be just grateful for whatever because you're in a rush, so you just drop the first 5 things like, I have a job. I'm talking shit, but also not at the same time. So, yeah, like I said, we gotta be careful with the one-liners that we use. Like you gotta go within. So it's all you got. Gonna never be right without. Right with it. Well, if you ain't right within. It's like, no, fuck that. 100%. You just got to be creative. That's the thing. You got to be creative. And the more we take as fact without thinking about it ourselves, the less creative we are, because the thinking has been done for us. So we're just basically subscribing to someone else's creative thoughts. And then we just forfeit our own creativity. Because I know there's tons of people who do meditate and who do yoga all the time, and who are, you can just see it in their eyes and their body and their movement and their energy. We're like, oh, I see you working, you're exercising, you're moving, doing the yoga, like you looking good, skin's looking fresh. They're like, yeah, meditate, do the mantras, and they're still depressed, and they still end up in just a dark. My friend called me recently, just in the darkest place, and I was like, you look like you're killing it online. You're doing all the things, and like, I see you out there working and putting in the self work, but she fell into a dark ass place. So it's like, what are you gonna tell a person like that? You're not loving yourself enough. That's the problem. You gotta love yourself more and go deep. I don't mean to come at you sideways, Luna. It was a good point, because I've had those thoughts before too. Like what you've said verbatim, I've said myself to people. But now recently I'm making this push to, and that's what's cool about the Hermetic philosophy, you guys. That's what's cool about these fucking laws. It's like you're not necessarily negating anything. You're more so transmuting things. Like the phrase you said, you got to go within, right? That's where it's like, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying there's more ways to do it. Saying it's not just as we've been taught. It could be as we're taught a lot of the part, but there's more than one way to skin a cat at the same time. We got to stay creative. We got to use our imagination. If you don't use it, you lose it. We got to start thinking for ourselves in all areas of our life. And if we're not thinking for ourselves, we got to make sure that the people who we are allowing think for us are ones that we trust. Our mentors, our parents, or not. I've had some friends who've had some pretty shitty parents, but like, you know what I mean? You do you, boo boo. Do you use your discernment? Use your God-given gift of discernment to find what in your life is serving you and what is not serving you. And have a glass of wine every once in a while. Chill the fuck out, Keith. Have a glass of wine. Sit in your garden and actually enjoy it for once, instead of having to work on your garden all the time. Yeah, you guys ever notice that? You guys who have gardens and stuff, you're always, oh, I'm working in the garden. Or maybe it's just me, but I feel like I'm always working in the garden more than I'm saying, oh, I'm not enjoying the garden. I pulled up a chair, been talking to Sunflower for half an hour. She's a lovely woman. She's got all kinds of goals and dreams and ambitions. Said she wished that her seed would populate an entire acre of land, just an acre of sunflowers, following Sir Soul through the sky. That's what I would want if I was a sunflower. But yeah. Sly Brains, love you. Sarah. It's almost midnight here and I have work tomorrow, so I'm probably going to call it. Tired as fuck. So if you guys have anything extremely pressing to say it now. Oh, yeah. Sorry about your CBD pen, Michelle Carter Hobdy. But maybe it was the fairies. Oh, I'm going live tomorrow, by the way, with High Elven. From the High Elven YouTube channel where we talked about Lord of the Rings. She's she bases her spirituality off of the teaching of the elves from Lord of the Rings, which is super cool. It's a super cool lens to put things together. She associates the elves. She claims that they're the Palladian spirits, that they're based on the Palladian spirit, and has a whole bunch of cool stuff going on over there. So I'm going to be on her channel tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to be on someone else's channel for once. I'll send the link tomorrow if you guys want to jump on and watch it. Yeah, mushrooms, high elven wisdom. Stick around for that tomorrow. That will be 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 Central, 9 East Coast, which would make it Thursday, October 7th. But yeah, so be sure to check her out. Check out her channel. If you like what she's doing, subscribe. She's got a bunch of cool shit going on over there. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for smashing the like button and keeping the channel going. We've been killing it. Channel's been doing super well lately, you guys. Extremely thankful. Extremely grateful. It's one thing I'm acknowledging is you guys. I've been making, doesn't sound like much, but I've been making anywhere from like $4 to $7 a day in ad revenue, which is like super substantial. Especially when I was only at like $1 or $2 just a couple months ago. It's like a 300% increase, 400% increase in ad revenue. If I could do that again in another couple months, get up to, imagine $9-10 a day. That's like a lot, but 10 times 30, it's $300 more a month. You kidding me? That's like, man. Just talk about having things taken, pressure relieved where it can be. That's the goal. So what my point being, I'm happy for that. And it's because you guys keep sharing the content and liking the videos and commenting and showing up in the lives and conversating. All that shit is just kicking that YouTube algorithm into gear, and the channel's been killing it. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Down to link up with Sivan Bomar. If you know him personally, shout him out and put in the good word. I'm always down to have cool people on the channel. Always down to collab with folks. Thank you too, Salavi. All right, good night, everybody. Patty Mayo, Michelle, thank you guys for being here. Yes. All right, good night, everybody.